You are now live.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to MAP5, Muslim American Power 5, on May 18th, 2026. I am Amatullah Alaji-Sabrie, joined with my co-host, the Honorable Cheryl Sudduth. Our other co-host, Brother Fleming El-Amin, is probably thousands of feet up in the air, traveling back to the East Coast from the West Coast. He had, I believe, two grandchildren who had graduation ceremonies. So we thank Allah for their success. I greet you, those who are joining us, with the greetings of peace of Assalamu alaikum. And I'm going to ask Imam Michael Hameen to open up our gathering as we normally do with an opening supplication or prayer. Brother Michael, you want to open up for us?
Yes, ma'am. We'll open with the Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Amen.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Brother Imam Michael Hameen, who is the host of Not Jews Talk, that is on AM360 daily broadcast on Thursday evenings,
7 o'clock Eastern,
7 to 9, right? Eastern time?
7 to 10.
Ooh, okay. They're doing a whole lot of Jews talking there on
Well,
Not
we
Jews
we
Talk.
work we work in the night shift with with your guest Imam Muhammad Abdul Alim, and this Thursday we have a repeat guest from last week, the author of I Love Islam, but I'm Tired of Muslims. And the subtitle is really where the heart of the matter is. Um, Dr. Yusuf Malik Frederick, he'll be our repeat guest this Thursday. Thank you.
Yes,
Part,
I
part
did.
two.
I did. Yeah, I was fortunate to hear part one on Thursday. Very excellent program. Very very interesting, brother.
Thank you. Yes.
Good. So I encourage people who want to have a good Thursday evening to tune in to Not Jews Talk on AM360 daily broadcast. And as is our custom, look like you had gone to sleep, Honorable Cheryl Sudduth. Um, I had one friend to say, I can't make it this morning because I haven't been to sleep. And I replied, yeah, I got a few hours. Not enough, but I got a few. So, inshallah, the program is going to perk up because we are going to break the ice. So, everybody, get out your little ice pick. And those of you who are um, live with us on the Zoom platform, Shahid Wangara and Latifa Wangara and Michael Hameen and Monira, you're going to be blessed with breaking this ice with us. Okay, Cheryl, what do you have for us?
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
God, Monday morning.
Yes, yes, yes.
Buenas, 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 buenas. It's been an interesting week, few days, all of that. You know, I I want to start this icebreaker. I'm going to have you pick a number as usual, but I want to start with a different question first. I read about this situation in it came through my feed and someone sent it to me. A friend sent it to me and said, "What gets your take on this Islamic situation? You know, Islamic adab or aita, whichever word you want to use." So I want to get you guys' take on this quickly before the imam checks in for our lesson today. A young woman, young teenage woman, lives with her parents, of course, because she's young, and they invited a house guest, male, to stay with them. He was supposed to stay a few weeks, and during that time, she was instructed that she must wear hijab around the house while this male house guest is in the home. What was supposed to be a few weeks turned into 7 months. And she's frustrated. And she's like, why do I have to keep wearing hijab in my own home all the time? And so she's frustrated. And she's like, I don't want to. So she said, I just want to pull my hair back in a ponytail like I do all the time when I'm at home in my own home. By the way, this house guest does not contribute to the house. He doesn't do anything. She'll say he eat all the food. He puffs up. He piles extra helpings on his plate. And now you got to remember this is a teenager, so I like the way she talks about it. She says, "I'm feeling a food desert in my own house. I'm feeling food deprived in my own house. My mother is the big breadwinner here, working 2 jobs. I guess I don't know if her dad's in school or where he is. She doesn't talk about it much. And she's working extra hard to pay all the bills. This person doesn't contribute to the household in any way, money or anything else. He's in her spot for watching TV. So she's really frustrated. What say you about whether or not she has to continue to wear hijab? Young woman, young girl, not even young woman, young teenager. So I was asked what's my opinion about this. And before I tell you what my daughter and I discussed, I want to hear what anyone else has to say. The online is split between 7 months. He's now family, no longer guest.
I
And the
think that
other
they got a
part of
squat. I think they got a squatter in their house.
that is what the online is saying, right? I mean, the second
I
part
mean,
is
unless they're really very extenuating circumstances, you know. But yeah. Well,
yeah.
Sister
So
Munira has her hand up.
yes,
I'll
Sister
let her
Yes.
Manira,
go.
go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well, that's
Yes. I would say this guest has worn out their welcome, and they should be somewhat inconvenienced, not the household member, whether he can be in a part of the house or the basement and you're in that area and this area, you know, we will let you in when if you have to come in for dinner or whatever, but that's it. You have to go back because my family has to be free to move around the house because you're staying much longer than we had expected, and we don't want to put you out if there are extenuating circumstances, but some modifications have to be made. So I think that they should be the one that would be uh, inconvenienced, so to speak. Put a few thorns in the nest to make it a little uncomfortable for you to fly away, but not kick you out all the way. So that's my opinion.
I'm not mad at you. I like it. I wouldn't make that bed so comfortable. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in before I ask you the other question of the day? What do you say, Sister Amatullah? I think you're too comfortable. Let's see.
Well, Sister Munira, I really like your speaking a word directly to the right. I think it can be a prickly situation. Does this teenager, does she normally wear hijab all the time?
She does, but just not in the house. She's just said,
Well,
you
I'm just
know,
getting background information.
yeah,
So,
she says she wears in the house, but and she doesn't wear when she's playing her sports. And she's a young one. You know, I think she was either 14 or 15, I can't remember. But she's young, right? So, and she feels like to Sister Manira's point, she's being inconvenienced. Why can't he be inconvenienced? He's in her house. So she said, why is she got to be inconvenienced in her house all the time? Brother Imam,
I'm
welcome,
sorry, I'm a
sir.
little late.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I was.
I'm just asking a quick question about something that was posed to me by a friend, a young teenage, she's not Muslim, but she was asking me our opinion. A young Muslim girl is, she said her family has a house guest. We're supposed to stay for a few weeks. Few weeks has now turned into 7 months. But the original was a few weeks, and the family said while this house guest, a male, was staying in the house, the young girl has to wear a hijab when in the presence of this house guest.
Mhm,
And she was game for it at first, but now it's 7 months, and she's like, I don't want to keep wearing hijab in my house.
mhm.
And so she's frustrated, and she told her parents, I want to do it. So there's a battle. And so the online discussion is is she violating adab or aita by saying I don't want to wear it? And so most people are taking the side of the young teenager and saying the guy is wrong, or the guest is out of line, or the parent should be checking the guest, not checking the young girl.
Yeah, because he's overstayed his welcome. Now he's no longer a guest. He's a family. He becomes a member of the family after he stays a certain amount of
That's what
time.
we said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's a
Right.
family member now.
Family member. Yes, he's not a guest a certain number of days. It's not like he's a permanent guest.
is he a
Yeah.
Muslim? Is he Muslim, Cheryl?
He's Muslim and he's not contributing. I think the young girl's point was he's not contributing to the family. He's not doing anything. She goes to school, he's sitting on the couch. She comes home from school, he's sitting on the couch. And she's upset because he's sitting on her part of the couch. She said,
Mm.
he's eating all the food. I feel like he's eating all the snacks that I eat. And she's it's like, yeah, why am I? So she's inconvenienced in a bunch of different ways. So she's not happy. So yeah, I feel like he's part of the family at this point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Welcome,
like
cousin.
well, I think that she still needs to preserve her modesty, regardless to his inconsiderate behavior, perhaps. But I think that it is on the parent to speak to him kindly and remind him of, the principles of the adab that we want to use as far as the teenager's modesty. Um, and
Yeah.
as far as the eating, more food and this, that, and the other, the parents should, well, I think that the parents should talk to her about those issues. The mother, you weren't sure about the father being there, but to encourage her to be, maybe a little bit more patient. We don't know what his situation is as far as finances, mental state, or whatnot. So the mother and the daughter should talk initially so that the mother is real clear on and respectful of the daughter's feelings, I think. And then I think the mother should diplomatically, let the young man know um, that we have to make adjustments, accommodations since the stay has gone longer.
that's what I'm saying. Right.
Accommodations for her and accommodations for him. So, yeah. But I would want to do it in a way that his feelings are not hurt or insulted. I think it should be
His
done
feelings.
in a
It,
kind way.
Well,
Yeah, I think it should be
let
done. I
me.
think it should be done in a kind way because
It should be done the
we
kind
don't
way.
know. We don't know
Well,
what
we
his
don't know, but let
circumstances.
me say this though: is that if he's staying as long as he has, Bismillah, Rahman, you got to keep in mind that he's violating other people's rights.
Hmm.
That's the first thing you got to look at is that there is a limited amount of time that is prescribed for a visitor. All right, that's the first thing, because she's absolutely right. I'm talking about a young lady now. It's okay. So if you're staying here for a week, and we have agreed on, I'll say a week. It's hypothetical. I don't know all the details, but she's talking to her parents. So and I agreed to that. I was willing to forego my right of freedom within my own space, so we could accommodate him. That was 7 months ago. Now you are going beyond the limits of what's required of a host when it comes to entertaining a guest. All right. Now the impetus is on him, not on her, because she's already extended the time. So you guys realize, see, once a person extends the time, they now actually technically, not even technically, actually, they're in violation of the freedoms that guest privileges affords them. I think sometimes we can be too kind. It goes back to the whole story of Abraham and the sheep. We have the people tend to be sheepish, but there has to be laws. They have to be followed so everybody can feel a sense of justice. Right now, the young ladies feel that she's being dealt with unjustly because we've already extended the hospitality of a guest privileges to him. All right. And now it's gone way beyond the hospitality accommodations. And that's what I'm saying is that see, you got to come from a different angle now, because it'd be different if you were sitting down discussing. We're gonna have a guest, and we need for you to wear your hijab, and you should be here for say for a week or for a couple of hours. She's okay, but we way past that. That discussion is no longer even in the picture now. The picture now is like I said, once again, we don't have all of the data and all the background information. But he's at a point now where then how are you justifying your stay in somebody else's space that's violating their freedom? Those are much bigger issues now because she can't be free and relaxed in her own space.
Hmm.
Now that's a big violation, right? That's a
Hmm.
big
yeah,
violation because why? In the space of the household, the woman has to have freedom because she has so many other restrictions that a male don't have within that same space.
right,
And
right.
then so now you're telling me that I got to continue to be inconvenienced in the space that Allah has provided me. And you say, and what about him? He is way beyond. He is way beyond. You say 7 months. That's something. Something else going on there. You got to because now you way out of line.
Taking advantage. He's taking advantage. After
Yeah,
if you go from
yeah,
a few weeks to 7 months,
7
you
months,
taking
right?
advantage.
That's way out of line now. And they,
No, and I yeah,
and one that is hurting, and you got to be careful of this. You don't want to make her feel burdened, and
right.
she becomes a victim. Feel she is a victim. She is a victim, and she begins to waver away from Islam down the road because she was dealt
Resentful.
with just. In fact, that's one of the things. One issue that we're dealing with here in Philly. Muslims who are traumatized. They're using religion. They have weaponized Islam to take advantage of people.
Hmm.
Right.
So that's one of the issue we're dealing with now. In fact, like Brother Hamid would tell you, we had Dr. Youssef Malik on. He's a psychologist who did a book entitled "I Love Islam, but I'm Tired of Muslims," and he did a case study of over 300 Muslims from around the country on how the whole issue that, and this is a classic example of one really, of how Muslims are asked to allow for the weaponization of religion in favor of one person or one group of people, usually the male over the female's rights. And
Right.
we can't have that, especially if we know better.
Yeah.
If we know better, we got to insist on, no, brother, no, I'm sorry, you got to, you got to do better than that. I mean,
Love that.
if you don't, you may end up, she may end up being a victim of the same type of spiritual abuse that comes when one is their rights are violated and nobody steps up to speak in their
Yeah.
behalf.
I love that I love Islam, but I hate Muslims. That I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's like my daughter's sentiment
Mhm.
sentiment.
Yeah.
She says that, her friends say that. That's
Hmm. Yeah,
like
the
that's that
young
Gen
women especially.
Z. My sons,
Yeah,
that's like that
because
Gen
young women are
Z.
seeing how the brothers are free
Yeah,
to do a lot of things,
that's
and
right.
always the sisters got to make accommodations. They got to make accommodations. Got to make accommodations. When are we
Yeah,
going to have the men step up and they
yeah,
make the accommodation and stop using Islam as a weapon against the women?
right. Yeah, can still go, and I'll give you an example. So they can go work out with no shirt on,
Yeah.
and And if she goes work out with her workout shirt on,
Mhm.
my husband will say something to him. I'm like, leave her alone. She's working out.
Mhm.
She's
Well,
not naked.
let's take
She's not naked.
a
But
step further. What happened is that that's why I was so glad that we have a sister here. You know the sister who does the sword fighting. It's about she came up
Give
with
Dad. Give Dad.
okay. She came up with
Iftash.
series of Nike made a series of
Yeah,
athletic hijabs, right?
Right.
right.
Because what was happening, like I said, and I don't know whether you noticed, used to be a time when men play basketball, for example, in real short shorts,
Yeah.
right? But back in the it's had to
Dr.
be the
J
early
era.
back in the 80s, maybe 90s, the Muslims
90s.
90s who wanted to play, they came with the idea right here in Philly that they will wear long shorts that cover their knees, that cover their aura from their navel
Yeah.
to their knees. All
Yep.
right. Because before that, guys, like I said, guys be out on the court, Muslims, no shirt on, those little short pants. Basically, they were all but undressed.
Mhm.
No one was calling them to account to follow the adab. But now let a sister come out and she don't have, she got she got everything that's on except she don't have a scarf on her head.
That's right.
And now,
Right.
oh, stuff for lost, sister. But you ain't seen anybody's 20 brothers run up and down the court. See, so
No shirt.
no shirt
Short
on,
shorts.
short. So my point is, we have to learn two things. One is that uh, there are certain things that got to be. I got to say this. I'm saying this way. There are certain things that are what we call secondary fiqh issues, and the other things that are primary issues. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, covering the hair is not a primary fiqh issue.
That one.
All right, it's not a primary fiqh issue.
That one.
It only becomes a primary issue within the law of Islam when you're looking at prayer. Other than prayer, that's why you find a lot of civilizations, a lot of communities around the world. The women don't make a big thing about the head covering. We do because we're new to Islam and we right and exact for the women, not for the
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got to understand that among the scholars, that is not considered a primary issue because it said lower your kimar down to your bosom. It doesn't say cover your
That's
head.
right.
If
Right.
you read the Arabic there, it has
That's
been
right.
inferred. It has been inferred you should start it. But if you wear something from your neck down, you're still fulfilling that obligation.
Mhm.
Right. Right. Right.
And,
Right.
and this is what we have to do. And you find that the younger people, especially the young women who are more active, sports wise and all that, they feel real oppressed. We make an issue out of certain things that as we get older, it's more comfortable and stylish to dress a certain way. But when you're young
Right.
and you're active and you playing sports and all that, you're not really, if you make those things a bigger issue than them maintaining their modesty in other areas, you'll
Right.
be majoring in the minors,
Right.
and you don't want to do that. You
We
don't want.
just had a
Okay,
conversation.
thank you.
I was just at a women's retreat, and
Mm-hmm.
we just had this conversation with
Mm-hmm.
young women athletes, and they asked me this question, and I said, I don't get, pull your hair back in a small bun at the back of your head. Just make sure you ain't wearing booty shorts, your butt ain't hanging
Yeah,
out in the back, and
yeah,
your bosom ain't showing.
right.
That's more important than whether or not you can. I know the Nike
Uh, uh, uh,
hijab is fine, but I have to tell you that that's hard in a lot of sports
right.
to
It's
wear
right.
anything where
Exactly.
your
I'm saying.
head is covered
Right.
and or your neck is restricted. It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard in
Right.
gymnastics. For instance, I was a gymnast, my daughter's a gymnast. It's
Mm-hmm.
really hard when your neck is
Right.
restricted. So in
Well,
some
I'm saying.
sports it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more important to have, like in swimming or gymnastics or any of those, if they
Mm-hmm.
can wear a full piece suit, they'd rather have that than to worry about, okay, the last thing they're worried about is whether their hair is covered. But if they're worried about their body being covered, that's what they were more concerned about. So
Right.
that was their question. Their question was, well, if I have a full piece suit, having the hair covered, they would like it if they could find something that's suitable.
Right.
But to your point, that was when we were talking about the young girl in the house. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
is she wearing? My question was, is she wearing booty shorts? Is she
So,
wearing booty shorts? Is she walking around the house in booty shorts and a bra? Because if
right.
she ain't walking around in booty shorts and a bra,
Mm-hmm.
what the hijab got to do with it? Because the
Right.
hijab, quite frankly, is not the scarf. The
Right.
hijab is her bosom and a butt covered. Because if
Right.
a bosom and a butt covered and she ain't spewing out a bunch of of
Mm-hmm.
of of, of profanity out her
Right.
mouth, then she got hijab on.
Right.
That's my answer.
Mm-hmm. Well, see,
And
I
dude,
think,
and
I
dude,
think,
and frankly, her mama need to take her favorite snacks and put them somewhere where she can get them and he can't get them. They're what I would do for my daughter. So if she like Captain Crunch, you can't have no Captain Crunch. Leave them my baby food.
well, I'm saying
And
though,
she
but
like fruit
that
snacks.
that
You can't
that's
eat the
cool,
fruit
but, right?
snacks.
But those other issues though, that thing of him violating her freedom spaces, to me
Yes,
is really something that the parents, the mother, everybody they got to deal with, because what's happening is that type of stuff is what drive a lot of young people away, because they see the injustice
they do. And
that we
you
allow
got
to
one daughter.
happen. Yeah,
Mm-mm,
that we
mm-mm.
allow to happen within our community,
Yes,
especially with male-female relations. In fact, interesting
absolutely.
you said it, because that's one of the things I got on my we were talking about freedom space. I mean, speech today, and
Okay.
I'm glad those young ladies at the church retreat spoke up, because that's one of the things that's really in the conference that I've been at, an international conference, is beginning to surface the
Yes,
need
sir.
for the so-called the ulema to hear the voice of the female, because the question is asked, the female buried alive, asked me, what crime did she commit? That's that's from the Quran.
Right.
Allah had them ask that question. What crime did he commit for being born female?
Right, right.
I mean, and my oldest daughter went to a conference last Ramadan in Mecca, and she said there were 1,500 ulama from around the world, and there were 25 women, and I think 12 of them were the wives of the different diplomats and stuff. She was maybe one of 12, she was one of 13, excuse me, who were independent scholars presenting at the conference. All right. And that was one of their concerns, is that we have, uh, as a ummah, Muslim worldwide, have grown up where we have buried the females alive. Their intellect and their ability to make a contribution has been so overlooked that now, I'm sharing this with y'all, it's now even places like Saudi Arabia, and what this was, and so some of the other leading centers, Morocco, are willing to now set up specific training for women scholars so that we can begin to get more of their works published. Because you think about it, people will be quoting different scholars, but it's usually from a male perspective. And then we quote the particular authority, not realizing that that's it's coming from primarily a male perspective. It's not wholesome. So they're doing it also. And check this out: of all places, Pakistan, they're building female to teach the young girls because a lot of these countries didn't even allow women education. So y'all should really think about, any situation where you are denying the female her right to speak her mind is really a violation of the revelation of the Quran. Because that question is when the female buried alive is asked what crime did she commit. So we should keep that in mind. Very important. And it's the same with the young lady you're talking about now. She's saying, well, what crime did I commit? Did I got to give up my freedom so he could have access to my house? And I got to give up my freedom in my own house. Think
Right.
about it. That situation, we're on the wrong side of history when we take that position.
Right.
All right. And
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry I'm a little late. I was sitting here. I had everything set up. I had to run out, and I saw his brother Hamid. He called me just as I was trying to get on. But anyway, I'm on now, and I jumped right into the fray. I hope I didn't hesitate.
Yeah, oh, you're fine. I'm gonna send
No,
this
it's
back to
fine.
Sister Amatullah. So that was what we had time for this morning, ma'am. And so
Praise be to
back to
Allah.
you.
So go ahead, Imam. It's the ball is passed to you.
Oh, thank you, Hamdi. I'm sorry that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to first of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa nashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu rasuluhu. I want to ask your forgiveness for being a little late. I was ready to go, got everything ready to go, then I had to in the last minute. But anyway, and I'm glad I came in when I did because I think it can make some contribution. That's the key.
Yeah.
Now this morning, or today, y'all are still what about it's about 10 something there, 10:30,
10:37 here.
Okay, it's 1:00, 1:38 here. All right. I wanted today. I want y'all. It so happens fits into our discussion overall. Looking at freedom of speech. All right, freedom of speech, the obligation of truthful communication. That's where we at. All right, and I wanted to show how the Quran, excuse me, the Quran established for the freedom of speech is one of the constitutional rights of every citizen within the American governmental system. But I want to show that the Quran makes it even clearer that from every relationship, from marriage through community to our national, international posture, we should always have clear communication because not only are we are to speak the truth, we are to be those who not only speak the truth, but we take responsibility to speak truthfully and constructively. We just don't want to be talking to hear ourselves talk. That's not, the Quran is not dealing with that type of talk. It's dealing with the idea. In fact, in Surah Rahman, in those first 5 verses, God says, Ar-Rahman, Al-Mar Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan. All right, it says, the merciful benefactor. He has taught the Quran. He has created a human being and taught him clear expression. The clarity of speech is called here in the Quran al-Bayan. You always want to practice being clear, being precise, speaking your mind in a way that you speak to the issues. Too often people just want to hear themselves talk, but and they're free to do that. But that's not the idea in Islam of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech in Islam is based on its principle of al-bayan, all right, clarity. All right. You want to speak to the issues to give what we have referred to oftentimes as directional language. Show people where things are trying to go, where you trying to move the conversation to. Because I'm sure you've had situations where you having a conversation, a person speaks, but they change the whole flavor and tone of the conversation by coming off from out of left field, we say. That's not freedom of speech in Islam. That's a distraction. Freedom of speech is when you are speaking to the issue at hand for the sake of clarity. And that begins in the marriage relationship. The first institution that requires freedom of speech is within the home life, right? One of the worst things you want to see where a marriage can't go or can't grow because number one, the wife don't say what's on her mind, for vice versa. The husband don't say what's on his mind. They always speak in terms where whatever the husband says, the wife goes along with it, whether he's right or wrong. And she may know that. She may know a different way, a better way, but she keeps quiet. That's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech in Islam, especially in that first institution, marriage, is your ability to, in fact, we say this in the marriage ceremony, say a word that is shadid and shadid means say, they translate it as say a word directed towards what's right. But it means say a word that's strong. Don't say something that you don't have a conviction. You got to have a conviction to see this idea established because it's based on the truth. And the truth is supported by Allah, His angels, and all of revelation. But if you're the type of person who, you know that expression, you lie to yourself. You know, you think things got to change by you being quiet. You not ever saying nothing. No, even in the marriage ceremony, you are reminded of this important obligation to speak responsible. Is that I give this example when I do weddings. I remind the bride and the groom how, you know, a couple that can't speak honest to each other, they lie to each other, and sometimes it's not it's a conscious lie, but it's not. They don't think it's malicious, but it is. If you know you can't afford something, for example, and your spouse wants it, and you keep quiet, or you push that bill under the bed, in a back drawer, you lying. And eventually, that relationship collapsed under the falsehood because you're not speaking the truth. So the freedom of speech in that primary relationship of marriage, family life, holds up family life because you are communicating your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas truthfully so that the family as a unit can move forward on the basis of clarity, el-bayan. It moves forward, not on a lie. You expression go, you're living a lie. You don't want to live a lie because eventually at some point, the weight of that lie causes the structure to collapse and then like become like a flood. All these things that you've been hiding, not wanting to talk about and all this come pouring out. All right. So that's the first one. Then, okay, now if you take that behavior, and you take it now on a community level. How often have you seen institutions, especially since we as Muslims, within our Islamic community, we have a situation where we don't speak the truth, or no expression goes, speak truth to power. We give our leadership, usually the imam, like he's all knower. He's God in the flesh, and he can't do no wrong, can't say no wrong. That's not true. The imam is a human being. There is an example in the history of Islam where one of the strongest caliphs, Omar, radiallahu anh, he was at the Jummah, a woman gets up and corrects him on a situation, and he had to come back and tell the community, a woman has corrected. Everybody was sitting there quiet. But he recognized that she had also heard what the prophet said, so she corrected him. And he said, this woman has corrected the Khalifa of the Amir of the Mukmin, the commander of the believers. Why is this so important? If we want to see Islam grow, we have to make sure that our leaders are also held accountable, right? Because, for example, during the Jummah, the only one that's speaking is the Imam. Now, if he gets up there and says something that's wrong, and you know it's wrong, and you say nothing, so all the believers go out of there with wrong information. Here, you knew better. You said nothing. Because why? The Imam said it, but he's wrong. You got to speak up. That's another example of freedom of speech.
So, Imam, let me interrupt you right there.
Mm.
What is the adab for? Because a friend of mine several times ago, she was in a situation where it was a Juma, and the Imam said something that
was incorrect.
You know how you can say something, you have to have a context around what you were talking about.
Right.
And it had to do, it was a serious issue because it had to do, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, the way that she phrased it. It had to do with intimacy, sexual intimacy, okay? But the way that, okay. I believe this is it. These weren't the exact words. You know, when the migration took place to Medina, and those who shared their wealth with the immigrants, with those who were doing the migration,
Okay.
Hijra. And so he was saying they shared their wives too. Now, if you just say they shared their wives, it's not clear if how you're saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The word shared, it can have a double meaning.
Could have a double meaning,
Right.
exactly. Now, what would have been the proper adab for, because, you know, when she heard it, she was like, huh? And then she was waiting for a brother from someone from the front, in the front of the Juma, to either ask a question or say, Imam, something. What would be the proper adab from the sister, who most times we're sitting all the way in the back?
Over the back, right? Yeah.
So to me, it is important that might be something you want to correct right on the spot, because, like you said, somebody goes out, or now with the virtual thing, if it was a Juma that was recorded,
right,
someone out in the audience hearing that would say, what kind of people do we have here?
right, yeah.
What would be the proper adab?
Well, I think the proper that would be, I'm not sure what she did, but I think that for her to, as soon as the prayer is over, she don't, you make no correction during the Juma. You don't stop them in the middle of Juma. You wait until the Juma is over, the prayer is over. And then he said, Brother Imam, I would like to, and then just bring him back to that point. That's the proper thing to do with any correction. You let the Juma is completed for the pleasure of Allah. However, there is defect in his presentation, not in the prayer, right? Because even in the prayer, think about it, this isn't what he said. It wasn't what he did, but what he said, and he's describing the situation of the Hijra, right? It's part of his khutbah, right? Am I correct?
Correct.
That should be corrected right after the prayer is over. If nobody else does it, Brother Imam, I want to bring it to our attention before we depart. Imam, am I correct that you said, and then repeat what he said, and said, well, that's not, like I said, that terminology has both a connotation and a denotation. And the denotation gives the wrong impression to someone who's not a Muslim who understands what you're talking about. That should be corrected, absolutely. But any correction of what is said, it's like what I give you, for example, what is said in the khutbah is corrected after the prayer. If there's a mistake in the prayer, it's corrected right there. Right?
And what if the brothers don't correct it and you know?
No. Anybody can correct it. They're not.
Okay.
It's not something that the brothers. That's what I'm saying. Whoever has the knowledge, and in this case, if the sisters have the knowledge, they're responsible. See, we make the assumption, which is a bad assumption, that the one who has knowledge of this is the brothers, and many times they don't. And especially when it comes to male-female relationships, women tend to have a better grip on how things went and how things go, because the whole thing of multiple wives, the whole thing of them migrating from Mecca to Medina, and the brother, you remember now, you can think about the conditions of that society. Marriage was not on the same level that we think it is right now, right? But still, to honor that vow of the marriage vow, that has to be worded in such a way that it doesn't give the wrong idea behind what happened once the Muhajirin got to Medina, and Ansars was willing to give up half of their wealth. You know what I mean? It's like it was a totally different thing. But again, as language, choose your words carefully and describe in situations of what happened in the past, because people are going to interpret it by concepts of the present.
Yes, and from my understanding, as she related it to me, he didn't expound on what he meant by that.
Right, I'm saying, but if she corrected him or brought his attention, two things. If she should not wait on any. See, you shouldn't wait on the brothers to do it no more. But don't wait on anybody. If you know what's right, you raise your hand. You obligated to do that. If once you bring his attention, all right, he's obligated to say, thank you, sister, and then elaborate and explain it better. That's his obligation. But you obligated to bring it to his attention. He's obligated to give explanation. Does that understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I just want to, I wanted to share that. I'm glad that came up.
I'm glad. Alhamdulillah, but that's another example though of what happened during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where the women, especially the women of Medina, they were more outspoken than the women of Mecca.
Yes.
All right, and if something wasn't correct, they will correct you, or they bring it to your attention and give you opportunity for you to correct it. Now, if you don't correct it, they will tell you the answer, because everybody then, more so than now, I tell you, knew the Quran and they knew the Prophet's example. Today, we're in a day and time where, for some reason, our sisters are more educated in secular knowledge, but not more educated in scriptural knowledge, which is very interesting. I mean, we haven't. That's why I was talking about the whole thing about what my daughter went to in Mecca. The scholarship of Islam used to have, women. We used to have as many women scholars as we did brothers. Now we don't, and they gradually buried a lot of the female scholars alive. Their opinions are not promoted the same as the men, and that hurted us when we came to the 21st century. When it's like, I'll give the example: you fighting an enemy, and he got both hands, male and female, and you trying to fight him with one hand tied behind your back. You got the male principle, but you're not. But you don't have the female principle. So you constantly losing battles because you're only fighting with half of your arsenal.
Yes. I didn't want to take you away because
that was excellent.
I think it's important for you to go on to the community and show.
Okay. I want to. Okay.
Sister Latifa does have her hand raised.
Okay,
yes. Sister Latifa, you can ask your question or make a comment.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Latifa. How you doing?
Praise be to I'm getting over this cold I've had. But what I wanted to say, in order for the sisters have to have freedom, have to feel free to question the imam or raise a issue. Because sometimes they can know something, but they don't have the freedom to speak on it.
Right. Well, that's why what we talking about here today, Sister Latifah, we're talking about freedom of speech, right?
Yes, sir. I wanted to say, I wanted to add, I'm sorry.
But these freedoms are not given by the imam. He doesn't
No,
have
sir.
control over this.
No,
See, that's
sir.
see what we have done, sister. Let me say, and then you go on with you. Let
Mhm.
me say overall, we have attributed powers to our leaders that they really don't have. It's more in our mind. Once we know the religion ourselves, those boogeymen feelings go away. And because people will use your ignorance of your freedoms to oppress you in your freedom. That's what I want to say that. 'Cause I see that a lot.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
When we last met, we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about ratification of imams.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just ratified our imam. We ratify our imam every year.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an imam. Okay. Coming from the Nation of Islam and coming from the background that I have,
Mm-hmm.
I don't step back.
Right.
I step up.
Free. You're free.
Yes. And I know that. And
Mm-hmm.
I exercise that.
Mm-hmm.
And in our masjid, we have that freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear something other than that, I'm surprised. But I shouldn't be. You know, I had that freedom in Los Angeles. I had the freedom since I came from Los Angeles free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm different being in Chicago. I just wanted to say that. I didn't mean to take us off the subject, but
No,
I
no, no.
wanted to
That's
address
very
that.
important because see, let's go back to the first point you made though in terms of uh, relationship. We're dealing with relationship. Uh, it's all freedom, especially in relationships. Is always such a certain amount of power struggles. It's always a power struggle. Right? You know, if people feel that they could up in your freedoms, control your freedoms, I say again that they didn't give you. You have to know which freedoms you got from God and what freedoms society gives you. That's what we're going through right now in the public domain. We get that's coming up next. I think a political engagement. How this whole thing of the voting rights and all that. Because the government they play games with us African Americans now. You know, we have the right to vote. We don't have the right to vote. You know, they go a couple of years, maybe go a century or whatever, 100 years. They go by and they say, "No, we're going to change this law and all this." But our human rights, they don't have no power over that. But we give them power because we don't know which rights we get from God, which are human rights, that supersedes any civil rights. And they got us playing checkers on civil rights while we're busy playing, well, while they playing chess on our human rights. We don't even think about them. So it's very important what you're saying, though, that the person got to know what their rights are and be willing to exercise them. See, now, if you're a person who fear human beings more you fear Allah, you're not going to exercise your right to speak. You sit there quiet and suffer in silence, and, you know, and talk under your breath, right? But if you're a person who knows what your rights are before God, all right? And then there's a hadith from Prophet Muhammad, he says, one of the greatest jihads is speaking truth before a powerful and tyrannical leader. You hear that? Maybe I should put that on. I'm gonna put that on this
In the
paperwork.
document, huh?
Yeah, in the document. That's a very important, especially for us because we think that you know, freedom of speech is only when we argue with each other in a conversation. No, the real power, you know, you hear this expression a lot. Speak truth to power. You know, can you speak truth to power? Do you fear men where you should be fearing only Allah? And a lot of our massages, we have this problem. And because of that, we don't grow with people. They voice their disagreement not through voting, and they voted. They if they can't speak their position, they voted by not supporting, not coming out, staying away, not giving charity. See, the different ways people, like I said, they protest quietly. Very, I mean, it's like, what do you call it? Non-aggressive, what do you call it? Microaggression.
Passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive. Thank you. That's what's passive aggressive. And yeah, you can see those communities where that is very much prevalent. People are very, you see that they're not doing the thing they know they're supposed to do, but it's in a passive way. You have to be sensitive to it. Now, if you have leadership that's ignoring all that, then eventually it gets into a thing where the community either just grinds to a halt and nothing get accomplished, or people decide to make a change. Hopefully, before that happens, they make a change. Because if a person is not helping you to fulfill your potential and giving you transformative language, I call it transform. In other words, they are helping you be the person that God intends for you to be, then they're oppressing you. And I said, for one of the first things that Allah tells us, He says He has taught the Quran. He said, and He has created a human being. What He did, taught him clarity of expression, al-bayan. If he can't do that, then it means that in that process of becoming fully human, you're not allowed to speak your, as the expression goes, speak your mind. You're in trouble, because what you're doing is you are hampering your own spiritual and mental growth. Because if nothing else, you speak to yourself. And if you're having a conversation with yourself about your disagreement, but that conversation go no further than in your own mind, eventually yourself get tired of hearing you complaining. That's right, your own mind. I mean, I want to hear that, man. You're not gonna do nothing about it.
So your own mind will revolt.
Your own mind. That's right. It's right.
Tell you to shut up.
Your own mind will be a witness against you.
Man,
this guy all he do is talk. He doesn't make no, he doesn't go any further. He's talking to me, but I don't want to hear that because I've heard it already. Praise be to Allah. But anyway, what I was saying though is that we have to be those who address the problem and not just be a critic. See, especially if we're in an organization, like in our messages, you find many people, and we've come up with this. Let me tell you a little story. I asked the believers who, and they were giving me suggestions on how we can increase our income without us going out of pocket. I said, we got to come up. We can't. I said, we can't finance this thing the way y'all talking about. We got to come up with some ways to get other people to help us. You know what I mean? So this is one brother said, well, you know what we can do? We can collect cans and turn the cans in. You get cans. They give you so much for cans. So I asked him. I said, that's a good idea. I said, because you bag them up and they have to you get so many. You take them to the recycle pay, and they pay you. But I asked him. I said, now, do you have a car? He said, no. I said, okay. I said, do you have a place to store the cans as we collect it? He said, no. I said, okay, well then. I said, you don't have a car. I said, go back. Do you have a driver's license? He said, no. I said, you got a great idea, but I think you should go back and think it through a little more, because you want somebody else to carry out your idea. You can't do it. You can't do it because you don't have a car. You don't have no place to store it. And if you had a car, you don't have a driver's license, right? So my point though is that within our communities, you want people to come up with ideas, and I have to tell them, I said, look, don't bring your idea for me to do it. Bring your idea for how you gonna do it. I said, don't be a, we came with this term called solutionary. I said, don't be a problem bringer. Bring me some solutions. Not, I got my own problems. I don't need, don't you bring me another problem on how we can raise money for the masjid. I said, would you come with your own ideas that you, with your own power and your own circumstances, can address? First, he was kind of upset, but then he thought about it. He realized that that's what everybody do. We want the imam to be all things, all people. And the mistake a lot of imams make, they begin to believe the hype. They think they are all things, all people. All they're doing is frustrating the community. All right. So you want to be able to criticize, right, and bring suggestions, but you also want to be what I call a solutionary. Here is the problem, brother Imam. Here is a solution that I think I can do to help alleviate this problem. Great. Make it happen. But if you just telling me, here's the problem, here's what you can do, you're not solving the problem. All right? Become a solutionary. See the problem, yes. Acknowledge the problem, yes. But make sure that your solution, you can be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. See that? And that's where freedom of speech comes in. Open our communication. In fact, we had a meeting with the men just this past Saturday, like a chat and chew. I had a monthly chat and chew breakfast. And we're looking at how we can improve on, especially in this day and time, on the masjid security and some simple stuff, And so what we said, well, look, especially for the brothers who are retired, well, you retired already. I mean, what are you doing? Sitting home? What you doing? Sitting. You can come out for a few hours and sit in the masjid. You're not part of security. You know what I mean? It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. If you can sit at home, you can be in the masjid. You can just talk about getting us security people and people. They love to spend somebody else's money. We're not hiring a security guard. We get you guys who retired. You come here and sit around. My point though is that we got to think solution that doesn't involve somebody else's resources in terms of, we want to go out and hire a security firm, and which is now we got to put that as a line item on the budget. No. That's what we're doing today. Yesterday, today and yesterday, we do it tomorrow too. Talking about the political thing. We got. I say, brother, your morning walk. Take some of these flyers for the political candidates and put them in people's doors. You're already out there walking. Take a minute to put them in their mailboxes. See that now you're active in the process. See, that's the key. As we get older, sometimes we retire from life. You can't retire from life. All right. And you got to see what the expression goes, get in where you fit in. So, and I'm finding that you don't want people who just, they always got a suggestion, but no solution. And it's always critical, especially as they get older. A lot of older Muslims got a lot of criticism of the younger people, not realizing, look, they're dealing with problems we ain't never heard of. AI, robotics, all this technology, we ain't never heard of that. So some of us can't work a simple ATM machine. They got it down pat. No, I'm serious. You got to think about it. So this is very important. You got to be able to bring your concerns, speak power of truth. This is within the master, right? But make sure your thing is not personal attack on anybody's personality, or their character. All right, and make sure that you try to keep things simple. Don't make it complicated. I said, the brother, he wanted to go out, he wanted to start storing up empty cans. It's too much. It's too complicated. Keep it simple. So again, within our political engagement, within the masjid, now I ain't talking about outside the masjid. Within the masjid, you got to know your rights as a believer. And one of your fundamental rights is being able to speak to the issues that are affecting the community. Don't just sit idly by and let things just kind of drift away. And after a while, the community almost, I know that after COVID, we lost a number of massages here on the East Coast because people stopped, not only did they stop attending during COVID, they had already stopped attending before COVID. COVID-19 just accelerated them. And because nobody said nothing, nobody would say a word towards the right, call each other back. Call each other on the phone. I haven't seen you the last couple of days. What's happening? All right. So these are the things I think that are important. And one other thing too that's very important about freedom of speech. This is something that wasn't a problem, say 10 years ago. You can't get on the internet, social media, and complain about the masjid and think that's private. No, that's public. Now you putting all did you approach that imam? Did you approach that believer? Here you complaining about them, but you're doing it on social media. You don't want to do that. You want, you don't want to get into the habit of putting all the masjid's business in a post on Facebook or Instagram or X, whatever. That's freedom of speech where it's going amok. You're free to do that, yes. But do you want your community's business all out in the street of social media? It's all over the world. All right, so that's very important. So you think about your political engagement. Make sure that you have a sensitivity about what you say about your community and your leadership and your membership in the public sphere. It's very important. Some people, they want to get on the internet and say all kind of things, so you want to be careful. That's a new way of slander. You're slandering a person using modern technology, and it's much bigger than you telling somebody else. That's even bigger than you call somebody else on the phone. You don't know who's hearing or seeing your posts. You don't want to do that. Freedom of speech don't mean you can say anything you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. You got to be sensitive and choose carefully who you say what you're saying to, because you saying something about me don't help me if you tell somebody else. Say it to me. Learn to speak directly to the right, directly to the problem. Don't speak, you got a whole network of people and y'all get together after Jummah and y'all are analyzing and the khutbah. Go to the imam, tell him. The imam, your khutbah, you've been giving the same khutbah for the last couple of months. It's not, it's in effect of people sleeping. You know what I mean? You got to tell them. You don't tell somebody why you laughing. No, we had this happen with our community. And
affecting their sleeping?
People sleeping in Jummah, yes. And people, it got so bad in one massage, they started taking pictures and posting the pictures of people. To be like, oh, so let me stop.
Oh.
They sleeping in Jummah. And the imam, if he got what I call dead letter scripture, he's saying the same khutbah week after week after week. He's killing the people's spirit. Say something to him. Say, brother imam, you gotta do some studying, man, because you ain't all those notes, you ain't hitting no notes of nothing. You ain't saying nothing. So, but praise be to Allah.
Imam, on your point about the posting on social media. I'm sorry.
You all right?
I have to regroup after that sleeping comment, but make the distinction for us, please, in terms of freedom of speech and when it can cross over to backbiting. backbiting and gossiping, like you said.
Yes, okay, well, that's a good point. And my point is that if you haven't brought that concern to the individual that you are concerned, you're talking about, it becomes backbiting.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if I got something to say to you or say about you, I'm gonna say it to you.
Okay.
Right? That's what we got to learn to do, is that, you know, don't be afraid of talking to the person directly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't in the window, or you know what I mean, and no. That becomes backbiting and slander and stuff. You know, if you name the person, you know he like this, and everybody who hear you or see your post know who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that, because that more than anything else kills the spirit of the community. It kills the spirit.
Yeah. And you're real clear in this chapter about what is shura and what is not shura. And I think that you've addressed it. And I think some people, like when you say at the beginning of the chapter that shura is not democracy,
right,
but it can inform it. I think for those who may have experienced the Nation of Islam, that's not a democratic. Our experience was not a democratic
absolutely not, right.
experience, because you had the hierarchy of the minister, the
Hierarchy,
captain, and all of that. Okay, so
but also keep this in mind. Keep this in mind when it comes to shura. Okay, the shura is it comes from an idea of shura means to collect honey. You want to get everyone's opinion. All right. And by getting everybody's opinion, you know, you're trying to get the best solution.
Yes.
You shura also implies that I'm respecting your ability to make a contribution. All right, I'm not assuming that you don't know nothing. So see, when you get in terms of like a dictatorial situation, the other person is negating your ability to think. And I don't know you got to say. I'm telling you what you got to think. That's not shura. Shura is when everyone who has something to say on a subject are given an opportunity to say something or make a contribution. All right, and that's what a lot of times is missing, you know. And especially in areas, so we talking about freedom of speech. You have some people, if you're sitting in a meeting, they can let some people speak. They go on 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You get ready to speak, you speak for 2 minutes, they cutting you off, because his boy speak for 10 minutes. But somebody who is not saying what they want to hear, he cuts off the one they don't want to hear because he doesn't agree with what he thinks is important. That's not shura. Shura is equal time for equal expression. All right, you know, and everyone understands that we're doing it for the good of the whole. We're not doing it because my group, you know, we want to keep charge over usually, and usually, God forbid, but a lot of times it's deal with power and money. Who controlling the roster and who controlling the economics of the master? All right. And when people are called to account, sometimes people don't want to be accountable. All right. But again, this is where freedom of speech within the process of a shura comes in. If I'm asking about the budget, and I see there line items on there that says, you know, it says miscellaneous, and this miscellaneous is bigger than 2 or 3 other line items. Explain to me what's miscellaneous is more than the rent. You know, and I have the right to ask that question in the context of us doing shura. All right, it's very important, because a lot of massages that they don't grow because people don't feel they're asked to support and give, but they're not giving information so that their suspicions are put at ease. So then one thing about African American religious people, if you want to destroy a community, hint at, no, that has to be the actual case either, economic impropriety. We are people, man, we're very suspicious of our money in religious organizations because we give a lot of times without seeing results. I mean, like you find some massages, they have, for example, you sit around and they have a building fund account for years. We never build anything. Well, what about to the building fund money? Or we have to take that money out to pay this bill? No, before money that's dedicated to a specific cause shouldn't be arbitrarily transferred to another cause. All right, and so what happens is, and this goes back to something we were talking earlier about the young people. See, young people don't go along with that. They are used to being in the know, accountability, more so than the adults. Adults, we have a lot of a suffer in silence mentality. You know what I mean? The young people will speak their mind, even at the expense of not being accepted. Mm-hmm.
That's that
Well,
old.
Muhammad Sharif has his hand. He's had his hand raised for a while, so I want to acknowledge him, and then Sister Cheryl will go to you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Muhammad Sharif.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, everyone. I have a few things I'd like to speak about. And that is, listen out to, what's it, Imam Abdullah, you spoke about chat and shoe. Chat and shoe, is that like chewing the cud or something?
No. We have a brothers meeting at the masjid where we talk about the issues of the masjid in an informal setting. It's not like a business meeting. It's like we have breakfast and we sit around and we get to know each other. I find that in too many massages, people don't know each other, and especially among the brothers. You know, we have gotten into a habit of praying, and as soon as prayer is over, dispersing. So what we try to do is at least once a month, we have a brothers meeting where we meet, we talk about how we doing, because after going on, we just and it's kind of informal. It's just a chat and chew, just an expression. It's an informal discussion. It doesn't carry any official weight. All right, it's not like you're having a business meeting. You're talking about no. You're just meeting as men. In our case, they're all brothers. Like this past Saturday, we had maybe between 75 and maybe 100 brothers, and we just sat and talked. And as we sat and talked for a while, we had breakfast, right? Because see, we have to realize a couple of things, and this was brought out during the meeting, that as we get older, we have to be preparing the next generation to carry on this mission, inshallah. But we've got to know each other. We don't, a lot of times you don't know. I say again, are you making prayer to Master for Jummah, and the person sitting right next to you, you don't know nothing about them. And as soon as you salam out, you make your sunnahs and you're gone. That's not going to build a community. You got to have some type of brotherhood, and you get that by having that type of relaxed environment. That's what that's all about.
Mm-hmm. Next question, Brother Muhammad.
Spoke about COVID. So a lot of people, as you, ma'am, a lot of people had started leaving the masjid before COVID.
Oh yes,
so
as I'm saying, it stopped before COVID.
They had left. Hey man, let me finish. Please. Let me finish. The people had already left the masjid. So this was Allah's way, I believe, of bringing the truth out. The people had already left, and nobody dealt with that. They want to blame it all on COVID. No, COVID wasn't the problem. Unless you let the COVID come in to show you the reality of the people had already left the masjid.
Yeah, some actually that happened. That was not the point I'm making. That point, brother Muhammad, is that the point I make was that massages that don't have open communication leave themselves open for that type of civilization type transformation to that just accelerates it because the other thing wasn't in place. In fact, I was on that point. I was telling the imam, I'm telling you a little story. We had just elected a new imam in March of 2020, February of 2020. And he took office in March of 2020. And that's when COVID hit. So he had to give the khutbah in a masjid. Nobody was there. Maybe they maybe had two brothers besides him. Had a total of three, I think it was. But that didn't stop our growth because we were already committed to a strategy that we gave our zakat through ACH, all right, automatic, and we kept in touch with each other by way of not phone chains, but chains. So I'm saying, brother Mama, see, we don't see different massages have different issues and how they deal with it. What we did here on the East Coast at Mashallah was we try to stay in touch with each other, and I say again, and use the various tools to advance the general strategy of building a community life. All right, and not blaming Allah for our lack of what do we do what we're supposed to do? Do we exhaust all means to make it happen that the masjid, the bills kept being paid, the light and everything was happening? Because we carry a heavy responsibility. So we still had automatic accounts being paid. People paid their zakat every month. All right, we stayed in touch because we had a number of people who got sick from COVID and they died. Because somebody got sick, they didn't die, but they had one brother, he had been our captain. He got sick and never recovered. He just died a couple earlier this year, but he was sick for like 4 years. A point though that those communities that have some type of structure that allows for the expression of the believers and they stay in touch with each other and they keep a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood. Sometimes you got to keep it light. It's not always the Juma preaching sessions. But I say the chat and chew was excellent because they get a chance to sit around and talk and but they get a chance to know the men that they are part of. That's all that is. Praise be to Allah.
We had a brother here in the Los Angeles area. May Allah forgive him his sins. He's passed on. Brother Umar Hakim Day, community organizer par excellence. And what you call that in the community organizing space is one-on-ones, where you make the conscious effort to, like you said, the person that you are praying right next to, finding out about that person.
Exactly,
Because you see people for 20 years and you may know their name and you may not. You may see them with youngsters that you figure, oh, well, that's their children. But as far as that one-on-one connection, you don't have. Brother Muhammad, one more question, because I want to, Imam, did you want to share the flyer that you sent to me?
Oh yes.
Universal.
Yeah. Well, I just want to mention that in terms of to show how we are putting into practice what we've been preaching in terms of you see on that's our
I'll go to that. I'll go to that, Imam. I just want to
great.
give
Okay, you want
I
okay,
just
go
give
ahead.
Muhammad one more question quickly, Muhammad, because we got about a half an hour left.
Yes.
And then we'll share that. Go ahead, Muhammad.
We spoke about opinions. See, this word got back to Imam Muhammad. He said everybody got an opinion. A 2-year-old got an opinion. A drug dealer got an opinion. A whole lot of people got opinions, but Imam spoke, he said you should have an informed opinion.
Oh yes.
And that's what we miss in a lot of cases, informed. They're not informed. And one of the problem there is concerning the Muslim Journal.
I knew you were going to get to that, Brother Muhammad. Go ahead.
I have to. We have
You
to
have
keep
to.
bringing it up
Yes.
because there are
Yes.
people not supporting the Muslim Journal, and it got so bad. This Aisha, she asked Imam Kareem in New Jersey to head up something to help her with the paper, and he's been doing a pretty good job. And then we keep on talking on that. People don't have how can you be part of saying you're part of the Imam W.D. Imam's community? You don't support the Muslim Journal. And he told us, he said, a lot of my information is going to be coming through the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I
Well,
keep bringing it up. So we got to get more people to support it. Look here, I deal with some, let's take another minute. When I took on the responsibility of trying to help support the Muslim Journal, I started out with 5 papers. And I told everyone, I said, anybody can do 5 papers. I mean, we go to the doctor's office. We go to we ride the bus, public transportation, take the subway. You can just take 5 papers and you just drop off a paper wherever you go. I mean, 5 papers going in no time. So then I went from 10 papers, I went to 25 papers. And so I began to see how many we got papers. I don't know how you do in Philadelphia or in California. We have the Amsterdam News here in New York. We got the Black Westchester. We got the Daily News, the Final Call, the Wall Street Journal, Street Hype, the New York Times. We got so many papers, and we fall in the world. They stopped supporting the people because everybody going online and all that with the phones and all. We should be increasing, not falling behind, following everybody else. No, we should be increasing our paper. So I think that, so I'll stop there. Thank you very much for taking my comments.
okay. Thank you, Brother Muhammad. And I will say, I was glad to see when the Muslim Journal made a pivot to online, because you got to keep up and be in the spaces where the people that you're trying to reach are. And
Mm-hmm.
people have migrated, tremendously from actually a paper. Like in my own
Mm-hmm.
family, sometimes my children look at me like I'm crazy, like, you bought another book, because they are online. I'm online
Mm-hmm.
too, but I just love the feeling of a book and turning the page and making my little notes in the. So Muslim Journal I'll speak for myself. I'm guilty because Sister Aisha has asked me to write an article on things that she and I have discussed and whatnot, and I haven't done it. The reality is people are going to support the paper when it has the content that they are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so you have different kind of formats and contents with publications, and you have a different delivery system.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they've gone to the online format. I'm glad that you told us about the young children's section. I think that's a good improvement. And I do see improvement in terms of the content of the paper. And I agree with you 1,000%. We have to support our paper, because the propaganda that's out there with the corporate media, we can think that we're on the right path, and we're totally in left field, simply because of what we've been feeding on and what we get
Mm-hmm.
as our news sources and as our social sources and whatnot. So inshallah, I hope to have editor Aisha back on sometime in the next month or so.
Okay.
But Imam, Sister Munira, can you share the document that I forwarded to you? And Imam, Universal
Brother,
Political.
what name had a question first? Sister Cheryl, did she have something?
Oh, that's right, Cheryl. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Cheryl.
did you
You have
have
a
something
comment?
you want to say?
Oh, this is a good one. I think it's funny. When you mentioned the building fund, or just remind me of when we were growing up, when I was growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
I always used to hear about the church roof fund. And the roof never got fixed.
Never got fixed. Every time it rained, you got little raindrops, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the comment about people in business, especially Black people in business who, the quickest way to get someone upset is to ask about the finances is just very true. Especially, I'm going to speak for myself. If I ask to see the ledger, I mean, I'm a P&L person in my corporate life. And so if I ask to see about it and it's met with attitude, the hairs on the back of my neck start to stand up. Well, the transparency is a big deal to most people, or to people. I'm just gonna say it like that. I won't say most or some people, but to people. But it becomes a bigger issue when it's people who deal with finances and business on the regular. So I wanted to just underscore the comment that you made about giving away or thinking that any person has domain over the masjid, and then the comment that both you and Sister Amita made about Ashura is not necessarily democracy, but it can lead to democracy. I think that one line is really important, and I don't think it's said enough, but I do think that this transparency over finance has led to many masajid or Muslim community center or Muslim center or Muslim anything being this kind of division in our community. It has led to massive division.
Yeah.
And not just, I won't even say Muslim, anything, Christian, Jewish, anything. Is something when money meets people, and people don't want to be accountable to other people about what they're doing with finances, that, attitude gets in the middle of it. And when people, I'm going to say for myself, I just want accountability. Okay, what you did with it? What you do with it? If I say a miscellaneous what?
Right.
What'd you do with it? And if I see, etc. or whatever, even at my office, I'm going to ask that question. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing it up and to continue to bring it up, because other people need to hear it, especially from an imam to an imam, and an imam to the rest of us, to know that that's not an off the wall or off sides question, out of bounds. These are the word I was looking for.
Well, and
Out of bounds.
Sister Cheryl, something I wanted to, I like to, I want to give some clarity to a statement people quote, but they quote it out of context. No, Shura Bainahum is not democracy in the sense we see it here in the West, but it is a system of accountability in that everyone has the right to voice their concerns, and the only time the majority do not rule if the person has something from the Quran that supersedes the majority opinion. All right. So in that sense, Shura Bainahum is democracy.
Yes.
However, the final authority is not the majority. It is the word of God. A lot of people make that big mistake. They're thinking that, Shura Bainahum ain't democracy. So I got to give to some people that, well, the imam has the final say. No, he don't. The people,
Allah has the final say.
Their word, unless it's contradicted by the Quran, is the final say.
So small d democracy rather than big D democracy.
That's right.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
And too often the people, though, they will attribute, once again, that's a power they attribute to leadership that's not backed up by scriptural evidence, but it's more of a historical habit we have of attributing power to people that we put in to serve us, who we end up serving them. Which we got it backwards. If we elected someone to be, say, an imam or any type of position, you are a servant leader. You're not a leader who we serve. You got it mixed up. You are a servant leader,
Correct.
right? And I think this in our community, especially, we are struggling with that relationship.
Yeah. This
You know, the more people learn, you find that people who learn and see how things should go, sometimes they get frustrated and they step to the side, which is bad. But I can understand why they do it, because if you can't get them accountability, then that means that people are able to do things and feel there is no accountability. But they always got to be accountable, and especially, like I say again, with two things: money and power. Right? You know, whoever, because if people are listening to someone, but they're not following what they're saying themselves, they got power, but there's no accountability. If you are raising money for a project and nobody, you can't you give me a accountability. Like one of the things that we focus a lot on is the whole thing of the like the annual audits. And you know, most of our massages don't have audits, but they want to be a 501c3 organization. Now, realizing that anytime you go 2 or 3 years without auditing, the government could send in their accounting people, their forensic accounting, and they can shut you down technically. But a lot of times they give religious organizations the benefit of the doubt.
right.
But we know that we should always be those who are concerned about truth and justice. I mean, so accountability is a must, because you can't grow in an environment of suspicion.
Correct. Yeah. This is what I wanted. So the last thing is you say something. I just wanted you to repeat it. There was something you said that assure is that every voice must be heard. It might not weigh in the decision or be considered because it might not be. I forgot how you said it.
But I'm saying that, but see, what a person feels their voice, it may not be that important, but it's their voice.
That's it.
Right. And if you don't want, if you want me to support something, at least give me the respect of hearing what I have to say. Even if I don't say anything, it's okay. Imam Ali, what's it? I said, well, no, I pass. But at least you gave me an opportunity to make my input. And
that was it.
We have to have more of that.
Yeah.
Because as a people, see, we make a big thing about crimes against us. You know, like think about this. I'm using this. I'm using this for example only. If a white policeman kills a black man, it becomes national news. If a black man kills a black man, may kill 5 black men. Nobody even notice. Why? Because we don't value each other one-on-one. The other, if they kill one of us, that's bad. But we killing each other, everybody, it's like, you can have, we had a situation, for example, with young boys were shooting up a street, and a lady, a young girl and her baby both got shot. Everybody, it was a block party. Everybody who was there saw who did it. But nobody was willing to tell anything because they followed the no snitch. Right? That's crazy. Now, had the police shot one of these guys, we'd have been it'd been all over the news. Here's a young girl and her baby sitting on the steps, and both get shot. Bullet goes through her. See, you can't be hypocritical when it comes to justice. And I say that to Muslims. We can't say we live in a democratic society and have a dictatorship in the masjid. It's not going to work.
Right.
Not going to work.
Right.
Remember that.
Yeah. And, I appreciate it, ma'am. When you went to Shura, you went to the Quranic meaning and the use of that word Shura in terms of the honey.
Yes.
And we know how the honey is such a healing agent that is held in high esteem through the prophets, traditions, and whatnot. And I think that if we embrace Shura, we would get the healing
That's
that we
right.
need
Amen.
in our
Amen.
family life and in
Mhm.
our community life if
Mhm.
we use the principle or if we viewed Shura
And
as
that,
a
yeah.
healing that Allah has provided for us.
Yeah.
Michael Hameen, you have your hand up. Go right ahead, please. We have limited time. Go ahead, Brother Michael.
Yes, I'll try to be expeditious. Assalamu alaikum.
But then somebody doing, brother.
I'm blessed by the best,
It's
Imam.
just about. I saw you calling me, but I was trying to get online. I was
Yeah,
already late.
that's what I was calling you
Yes.
about. Okay, so my comment is this, and I'm glad you brought back up Sister Amatullah, the collection of honey. To probe that picture, it's a picture of social working together.
Mm.
There's a social order there, and it has a purpose. It has a product that's produced. And we need to flesh these things out so that we can, so that the common man and woman can see our obligation. Al-Islam obligates us. God tells us our own self obligates us.
Mm-hmm.
And that obligation, as I'm looking at it, has to do with organization and leadership. We have to be structured for progress. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
stop there. I'll stop with that.
Yeah, excellent point. Thank you, brother.
Well, could I just,
Brother Amen.
I think that these types of information sharing, I call them, these types of platforms, gives us some basis anyway for moving that process forward. I think that for the longest time, we didn't always have a platform so we could just speak freely about the state of our community, and years kind of slipped by. I mean, things, but I think that now we are beginning to take another look at where we at and also what's coming behind us. Probably more important than anything, what's coming behind us, and what type of legacy are we leaving, so that they can pick up on what we are trying to do, and that what Brother Michael just mentioned about the whole need for organization and structure, because we tend to go through the thing where people kind of go into their own shell. I think for a number of years, people kind of went into their own shell. They was like, the imam has been passed for the last 18 years now,
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff kind of grind to a halt. But I think that people are now beginning to pick up the mantle and realize that this community is not going to be built unless we build it. Absolutely.
And I think, Imam, that that transition period and the Imam laying out this structure, going back to what Michael just said,
Mm-hmm.
this structure and organization and this holding people accountable and,
Mm-hmm.
freeing people to express their concerns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think those of us who went through that period, we were shocked. What do you call that when you're trauma shocked?
Yes, yeah.
You're
Yes.
right in the middle of a battle, and then you're moving, but you're not fully conscious or
Mm-hmm.
aware or absorbing of the environment and what you should be doing. I think that now it is important for those who experience that to share that knowledge in the settings, the community settings that they are in,
Mm-hmm.
because there are people who came in 80, in 90, in 2000, who have no idea
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
we are talking about or understanding the depths of what happened during that transformation period.
Mm-hmm.
And the recommendations that the man wasn't going to try to force anybody to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quite open about that. He said, you don't even have to follow me, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
accept what I'm telling you. But when he brought us to that point of post the finances on the wall once a month so people can see
Right.
where the money is going. That was a what, a 360-degree shift
Right.
between what was going on. Every year have your ratification of the imam, and what should that process look like in terms of ratification. So I think that those things need to be reviewed,
Yes.
especially for new people who have come into the community. Of this is the way that this is our SOP, our standard operating procedure,
Yes.
and inshallah we'll make that kind of progress that you're talking about. MAP5, our goal is inspiring and educating, motivating ourselves and folks to become more civically and politically engaged. Action, that's our call to action. Now, you shared with me a document from your Universal Political Action Committee.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah,
Sister Munira, if you bring the document up for us to share,
yeah,
and
I
then
just want to
Brother Imam,
comment.
if you walk us through that, these last few minutes that we have, and then after that, if we have time, we'll get to Brother Michael and Brother Muhammad.
Okay. I want to point out, firstly, is that we have our own PAC, our Political Action Committee. One of the things that before I go, I want to mention that, because what happens is that we notice if we're gonna make a difference in society, we have to have the tools. We got to have the tools that allow us to be in the game. And one of the things, if we're going to be a coalition for good government, we got to encourage people to have their own political action committees. Because what happens most time with us is that among each other, we do a lot of talking. All right. And I think Michael has the program called Not Just Talk. And I love to show people how that understanding of carrying out what we talk about into action makes a difference. Now, I want to call your attention. These are the candidates that we have we're supporting. Now, not only that, but these are the candidates that we had fundraisers for, and to show that in order to be a political action, a PAC, you got to be able to raise money and get candidates. Now, in particular, I want to call your attention to for a U.S. Congress candidate. That's Sharif Street. Here's a young man that I've known him since he was in high school, and he went away to college. He went down to Morehouse. He came out, and he said his mother. His mother and I, I'll let tell the story. I will tell him when he wants to be. His father was the mayor of the city, but he wanted to be with the Muslims. So his mother told me personally. She took me aside. We was at a dinner, and she said, "Imam, take care of my baby, because him, and look out for him. Make sure that that he didn't get the wrong people around him, whatever." And for the last, this was in 1997. And ever since that time, we've tried to help him steer his career. He graduated from Morehouse. He graduated from law school, University of Penn Law School. And that time, he went through like whatever young men do. You got to get into the dreadlocks. So I took him to the side. I said, "No, Sharif," I said, "No, if you want to be a political figure at this level," I said, "you got to, if you want to make the move," the expression was, "you got to get the look. You got to look like a politician in a suit and tie. You got a nice hair crop, everything, because you're not protesting anymore." So this brother has been, I would say, one of our top students in terms of learning the religion and carrying out the strategies of the Imam. He always gets a copy of the different books that Imam Ronald Shahid put together. See, this is how you make the things that Imam Muhammad shared with us strategies that are livable and doable, especially for those who have that as an interest anyway. So yeah, so you see where he's at. I think he's on Sharif Street, 3rd Congressional District, right? And these others are African Americans primarily. They are, and they are people who we supported. And one other Muslim that we are supporting, Jason Dawkins. He's down there for the he did for the council, city, excuse me, the General Assembly. So our thing is that keep this in mind. You can't get into power unless you begin to organize. That's what I think Brother Michael mentioned earlier. Organize and structure so that you can be in the game to get your share. The man talked about this one of the last things he talked about before he passed in September of 2008. You know, getting our share means you got to be at the table. You got to have people who have your interests at heart. So anyway, so these are what we're doing. And there's one other brother, he just got into the situation, but I don't think, well, Allahu Akbar, Brother Qasim Rashad, he's at the bottom. But the ones that I think that I want to bring your attention to though is that, and we have people out passing out flyers and knocking on doors and all these things, because in the political arena, you don't have to have a whole lot of money, but you got to have a ground force. You got to have what we call it boots on the ground. And praise be to Allah. If nothing else we learned in our first experience, we don't mind going door to door. We don't mind knocking. We don't mind talking to people on the street. And so praise be to Allah. Sharif got a very tight machine, because before he started running for U.S. Congressman, he was the head of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, everybody. All right. And I just want to share this with you today. I'm going to open up for questions or comments. Now, we on the east coast of Pennsylvania, the eastern side. Now, the state is primarily a farm state, but the southeast corner is where Philadelphia is. So Sharif represents a urban area. I told Sharif, I said, look, if you want to get the western side, where the main thing is that they make Hershey's products, candy products, use a lot of milk and dairy products. I told Sharif, I said, Sharif, what you got to do is go out and buy some fancy boots, fancy shoes, and you're going to go to the farm shows. You can go to the different things, walk-in horse manure, cow manure with those boots on, because these people think that you're a city slicker. But you gotta by you having these boots on, they can see that you don't care nothing about the boots. You out there to ask them for their needs. Like what we found out, I'm sharing with you, them stop. A lot of the people in these rural areas don't have running water. Have running water. You hear what I just said? But yet they look down on the urban areas where more African Americans are at, because they think somehow that we lazy, whatever. So Sharif used that strategy, and it was the rural Democrats voted him to be the head of the Democratic Party for Pennsylvania.
Right.
See, so because you got to always let people see that your interest is their interest. I mean, excuse me, their interest is your interest. And by putting on those boots, they think, oh, these slick guys out of Philadelphia. All right. But when he went to he told me, I'm gonna say this, man, when I came in the boots on, they were like snickering. But they saw me walking in the horse manure and the cow manure. They said, oh man, this guy's something. He's all right. He all right.
He got farm creds, huh?
Yeah, he got
Right.
farm
Street and
credit. It
farm
wasn't to have
cred.
street credit. He got farm credit. He walked in the manure, and he didn't wrinkle. He just kept walking. We laugh about that. I want to share that with them because the thing is, you got to have a strategy.
Common sense strategy. That was common sense.
That who you dealing with.
Right.
Because the people, the poor whites have been fooled thinking that somebody better than the African Americans. They don't realize that the rich have played them against us.
Right.
I can tell you that That was something, man. We laugh at it all the time. Yo, Chief and I and all the guys get together, we be laughing about that.
So, Imam, how long have you had this political action committee?
We've had it since I want to say 2020. I think we first got it a little before COVID.
2020. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alhamdulillah.
In fact, we had it before Vice President Harris, which that was 2024?
2024.
Right. Oh, we had it before that. Yeah. In fact, I tell you what, Nancy Pelosi was still the head of the party.
Okay.
When we first got it. In fact, show you how Allah blessed us. We went from that, and they invited us to invocation at all their functions. The Muslims always there, and even Vice President Harris. I don't know how many you saw the convention in 2024, but I was invited to do the invocation the night that she got the nomination.
The nomination. I was there.
Yeah. You was there? Did you see me?
I did. I took your picture on the screen.
Oh, you did take out home there. I prayed to her. Yeah, so that, but it said, like, look, see, not that we want everybody to be a Democrat. Don't get me wrong, but you got to be something to get in the game. Ain't right, Cheryl? You can't.
No, I want you to be Democrat.
That's what I'm saying.
I disagree with you. I want them all to be.
I'm saying. I'm saying.
I don't want them on the other side. I don't want them on the other side.
What I'm saying, if there's only two parties, then you got a choice. I mean, you gotta
make a choice.
That's right.
You gotta make a choice.
And you clearly that the Republicans don't want you. So you got to try to manipulate. I was sitting with the VIPs, right? And I said, look, see, we can influence them just by our presence.
Right.
Just by our presence. That's right.
Just by our presence. Yeah.
I think that's important. I totally disagree with that. But anyway, moving on.
She muted me.
I said
you have to have a strategy.
No, I muted you because I'm hearing some voices behind you.
I'm saying that if you don't have a strategy, okay, if you got something better, then share it with us. Don't just disagree. Right. Bring it out that we can follow that.
With all of this gerrymandering stuff, we need to get just on a simple area. See how many African Americans we can move into these spaces that they have taken away from us.
That's right.
See how we can. We have to come up with our own.
Okay. So Amatullah, no. We have more Muslims in the process.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about more Muslims in the process. Definitely. But that's the first step.
I'm saying, but the Muslims tend to be all or nothing, and that's not a strategy.
It's not a strategy, but let me say this:
I think that on some issues it has to be all or nothing. On some issues, well, for me, just for me.
But then see, they will love you because in a democracy, if you don't vote, you don't count. If you take yourself out of the race, it's less competition. All right.
But for me, the reality has been African Americans have been so faithful to the Democratic Party, and we've gotten so little for our faith.
On that point, let me share this with you. We have had a situation where we have been told by the Democratic mayors, y'all don't ask for nothing.
Yep.
So who can you blame if you don't ask for anything?
It's not just the mayors. It's not just the mayors. It's everything.
The ladder. We don't ask
everything. It's everything. It's the governors.
People just want to be accepted. They don't want to. They don't want to lead. They don't want to set the agenda, and then they get mad when they don't get nothing. If you don't set the agenda, if you don't lead, if you don't show them that you got a better way, like I said, those people when Sharif went out to Western Pennsylvania, he showed them he had a better way. They didn't have nothing from the Democratic Party either, but he went out there with his fancy boots on and talked to them, and they voted him in. Why? Because y'all got to realize that we have been played in terms of, we think that the Democratic Party is a fixed entity. It's not.
No.
It is more flexible than a lot of you realize. And what happens is that until we bring our own agenda, our own candidates, You're not going to make change because you don't like people. That's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, you know, we're having a special election out here, and for a district where Swalwell was. There's a Muslim sister who's running.
She's running. Okay,
Who
good.
was in the state, okay? And I
Mhm.
went to a fundraiser. It was a PAC, I can't think of the name of it right now, sponsored this fundraiser. She's Afghani, okay? Um, and she shared with us how the DC folks, Democratic Party, she's a Democrat,
Mhm.
um, how they have tried to pressure her not to
Mhm.
run in the special election, let them put this other candidate in that is more in line with their thinking, where she has had far superior numbers, and she's ahead right now in preparation
Okay,
for
well, yeah,
that primary.
right.
Okay, so and I guess maybe I'm sensitive to this because I've experienced this in the labor sector, where you
Mhm.
have the international or you have the headquarters that forces their ideas and
Mhm.
forces their methods on the local and the people who are in that community who have someone who represent them the way that they want to be represented. The national doesn't support it. And
Okay.
so, and that to me is the way the Democrats and the Republicans
They both work
operate.
that way. You're right.
They both work that way.
But
But
Sister,
but
can I interject something here? Can I interject something?
go right ahead.
Now, I mentioned you how we started working with Sharif back in the 1990s, so that's like 30 some years ago.
Yeah.
We had to learn to have the long game,
Yes.
Yep.
right? And we had to plan and maneuver in the long run because you're right. The things right now, it's a stacked deck against you, but you know that going in.
Mm-hmm.
What we had, what we had, we don't have it like we used to have. We had youth. We were younger. We can outlast a lot of the heads of even the Democrats used to be old guys, old white guys.
Still are.
All right. And what we do is we position ourselves. All right. We position ourselves so that when our time comes, we're ready. But most time, we don't have a pack. We don't have people who are groomed from the lower position because you're not going to just go from say from like in Sharif's case, he was a state rep, he was a state senator. I mean, you got to go up the ladder,
Yeah.
but you got to be prepared to go the long game.
Yeah.
This is not for sprinters. This for marathon runners.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if you hoping, inshallah, to have a long-term effect on this country, you see what's happening now. The whole thing we talking about, the gerrymandering and the voter rights. That's the last ditch effort of a dying social order.
Yes.
But are we prepared to step in to bring a new social order? The Imam Muhammad said, "What? Remake the world."
Yes.
What have we done to be in position to bring in a new world? That's been my argument, even to our imams. We busy in the masjid trying to lord over a few people when we got a language that can remake the whole social and political society, and we're not out there sharing that, right? It's a long term commitment.
Right.
You
We
don't
went
have
through this. We've been going through this. Sister Latifa went through it. I know what she's going through, Sister Amatullah. I had to go through it myself when
Mhm.
running for that congressional position. And I know what she's going through, and they're going to say it through her. And I think she'll be fine with in this
No, I'm
election.
not talking about
I
Latif.
know you're talking about
Okay.
Sister Aisha.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but that was the same thing that happened in those races.
Mhm.
And and it's not the first or going to be the last time that happens. But part of it is because of her platform and what she's done in the Senate and what she's done when she was on city council. And but but the only thing I was going to say, I think Sister Amatullah Rani has her hand up, is that I think part of this also is we keep saying, and I hear this a lot when coming back from DC. I'm going there again in a couple weeks. We keep talking about black areas and black seats and Muslim seats. We need to be where, I don't care about them gerrymandering. I don't care about them they're about to make the last seat in Tennessee or the last area in Louisiana that had a so-called Democrat or so-called black seat all red. It doesn't matter. We need to be looking at all of those seats as potential seats for blacks or for Muslims or forever,
That's right.
instead of
But that's a
only being
strategy.
concerned about that one seat that was held by one Democrat or one Muslim. We need
That's
to be running
right.
for all of them, like you just talked about, Sharif. We
That's
should
right.
be looking at every single seat
That's
as a
right.
potential seat for us, instead of being locked into one area. That's our fault. It's not their fault. It's our fault because they move into our areas and run for the seats. So we need to be looking at every single seat as a possibility. For Congress, you don't have to live in an area to run for that seat all over the state.
That's right.
That's our fault.
Sister Amatullah,
I think that.
but I don't say everybody should be a Democrat. That's my position.
Well, I'm saying,
I know.
whatever label you have,
I was
whatever
teasing
label
you. I was teasing
is
you. I wasn't
irrelevant.
saying that either.
I
I'm
know.
not saying that either.
But I said, well, whatever label you have is irrelevant to this point. You know, you won't be able to maneuver up the ladder if you in the situation with the Republicans. Let's be clear on that. And so you can be an independent, as far as I'm concerned, but you got to be in it. My point is, and this is what Cheryl was saying. You have to be in it and be prepared to have a language that don't lock you in to any one ethnic group. Look at this. I'm gonna say this, y'all. Listen to this. I was at a meeting in Washington with the Muslims, the Indo-Pak Muslims from India, Pakistan. They are new to America in terms of their time here, but they are more politically organized to take advantage of being able to maneuver in the political system, regardless of their political affiliation. And I'm saying to us, if we say we got a new world order in our thinking, we have to, number one, do more than just talk. First of all, we need to get our political pacts. Do that first.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you have that, you can pick and choose what you want to do, because the pacts don't have no political affiliation. And most African American groups don't have a basic political action committee. I mean, all we worried about is a vote. So I'm saying to us is that the key, two things: have your own political action committee, and also be prepared for the long game. Don't be in this short run stuff. It's not going to work.
Okay. Amatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, I was away from the meeting for a little while when you were talking about the masajid, I guess the structure with the Surah board. So my question has to do with if Imam Muhammad had ever spoke directly to the characteristics of the Imam. Of course, we at least know personally, what we like in a leader, et cetera. But and then I know some people actually have that in their bylaws as to what the qualifications or what the checklist from the Imam. And I was just wondering if Imam had spoken directly to that you know of, because some people, you have to tell them, well, Imam Muhammad said this particular thing before they'll say it in attention.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, recently I've noticed on YouTube two different channels that are uploading videos of the Imam. And in both of them, I've seen talks where he has dealt with that. And I would say if you search under words make people. In my mind, I'm thinking that I just saw something in the last 2 weeks or so. That wasn't the total thrust of the Imam's talk, but he did talk about it. And then also, it was either words make people or the Eid committee of I don't know if it just says New Jersey or whatever. But if you search on that, in fact, it was a CNN. It was right when the Imam transitioned, stepped back to do mosque cares and not.
Yeah, right.
In that lecture, I believe he spoke on it also. I'll go back, Amatullah, and I'll look because I try to save list stuff. I'll go back and see if I can find specific ones because he talked about it. And I believe that the one we showed when Fleming hosted the program last week, he had a little clip, and in that also the Imam talked about the character of the person that you select as the Imam. And it might be someone who has a strong intellectual thing in one area, but in terms of in the area of the religion, he's not as strong as somebody else who may not have the certification from university or so and so, or a medical doctor or a lawyer, whatever, but he has the religious training and character. So I'll go back and look. But if other people,
I did. Sorry, go ahead.
if other people know, put it in the chat if you know of a specific lecture or place, a book. But you know, the Islam and Democracy book, he has a lot of good information on choosing the character of our leaders. So that's one written thing. And then the book that Fleming read from last week, it was New Leadership. New leadership, I believe, in the world or in the African American community. I don't remember. I bought the book recently, but in that book too, I think he had it. Did that help?
Oh, yes. And actually, yes, I remember, I think what you talked about, the Imam was saying, I mean, he was saying that the Imam may not have, will not likely have all the different skills and whatnot to move the community forward. And that's why he has the board, the Shura, to work along with it. The other part had to do with actual characteristics, because I think I did hear the part where the presentation today where it was reference to like teaching, and it seems like the Imam though needs to be able to be a connector, a motivator, a person who can identify the characteristics of people that he has in his congregation, and to inspire them. Not, it should go so much beyond just giving a lecture. And so that's what I was kind of leaning toward, because I keep saying, well, we need leadership. We don't need a teacher and instructor at this point. We need leadership. So that was things I was leaning toward, that somebody that can actually connect with the people and see who you have. Everybody, you know, you can see that this person can do this and that, and then you as a leader identify those people and inspire them, you know, encourage them to come and work for the good. So, okay, thank you. I'm going to go back on.
Yeah, I think that we all have to put our egos in check and work for the common good. That's a big problem. That not just in our masters. That's a big problem in the world. That's a big problem in the current administration that we got right now.
Oh yeah.
You know, egomaniac. Okay, we have two people, Muhammad Sharif and Michael Hameen. I have to really ask you to please try and make it brief because we are past the time. Go right ahead, Muhammad Sharif, and then Michael Hameen.
I'll just say, Brother Amatullah mentioned 1997. We had a program on last night. Anyway, it's been going on for about 3 months, 3 months now. But anyway, I'm reading from the Folklore magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see too well with my glasses here, but anyway, he said a term should now have a maximum duration of 5 years with a one-time possibility to re-elect. So other people listening to us, listen to the imam. They will listen to the imam clearly. We should have what you call it, election, not election, but
Ratification.
ratification every year or every 2 years. A
Right.
lot of our communities do not do that.
Right.
So Folklore, they took it up. They say now you're going to be in office for one term and re-elected once. So you can only be in office for now 10 years. And we got people in our community while we can't move or have moved. They've been in office for 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Still sitting there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It
I
was
tell you,
likely the man
remember
said,
that. I
the
just want to,
membership has
I
to
want to
speak
interject
up.
something on that though. One thing that I found is that if people forget one simple rule, first of all, there's no God but Allah. Why do I say that? We tolerate stuff that no right-minded people who worship Allah would tolerate.
Mm.
We have people in office, imam for life. That's crazy. We should have enough sense to know that no human being should have that type of responsibility in a developing community to be responsible for 30 years, 40 years. That's not we gotta pass the baton. I told the imams a few years back when I this was back in the new millennium, 2000. I said, look, this is not going to work. So even though we had all kind of things going for us, I said, but no, you got to set the example, pass the baton, and let somebody else carry the banner. Because we do ourselves as a people a disservice when we have one person in that position for that long and wonder why we're not making any real movement forward.
So they've been in office longer than the prophet was
Yeah.
in his mission, right?
And like I tell you before, and a lot of them, they're not studying. They don't have time. I think a lot now, we had a few imams that went out to El Bayan Institute out in California and got their PhDs. I'm hoping they'd improve their teaching.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, because right now we gotta so again, you laughing, but I visited massages with a lot of people, not that are old either, sitting in the masjid sleeping while the imam is giving khutbah.
Please, man.
That's sad. I'm terrible. They say,
Okay. Nitol. I just see that little Nitol Z commercial.
Yeah, I said he's sitting there.
And then, man, I want to make one comment at the end. Take us back down memory lane. I'm just going to tell you, Gloria EX. Michael Hameen. Michael Hameen.
Alhamdulillah, yes. The understanding the leaders and his knowledge body and the concern for influence over persona, the idea that the message the message is more important. uh Similarly, the ability to collaborate. We had a situation where in Sedalia, the imam asked the educators to come forward to go into a room with just a dictionary and the Holy Quran. And that was a test on the imams because they're supposed to be educators. There should have been a collaboration in that room. And that's an issue. We have to exercise this collaboration muscle. The idea of get in where you fit in is get in with what you have, with your knowledge base, your disciplines, to share that for the benefit of the whole, like the bees. The bees are not independent. They work collectively to collect that honey, and they make more than enough for themselves. So, you know, these signs are in the Quran, and we keep saying Imam Muhammad, Imam Muhammad. Well, what does he say? I
Right.
don't speak. I've disciplined myself. I don't speak unless I speak from scripture. Not chapter and verse, but the logic that God gives us in scripture. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. Really, ma'am, Muhammad Abdullah Ali, I want to circle back to when you were talking as far as people having the fear of speaking up and whatnot. And my apologies to everyone else. This is a nostalgic moment. Muhammad Abdullah Ali, if you
Yeah.
recall, when we had the Tuesday teacher sessions training with Minister Farrakhan back in New York for the
Right.
Muhammad University of Islam #7. And so every Tuesday we would have this class. I think it started at 10 o'clock, and then sometimes we go from 10 to 2. You never know when he would get finished, 10 to 12. It was our teacher development, teacher training day. And the dean of the girls was this sister. Her name was Gloria E.X. And after the imam came into leadership, she became Gloria Amina Rasul. So I want to send a shout out, if that is appropriate, or I just want to acknowledge that without fail, after every, if she missed maybe one, maybe two, I don't know, after the minister would give his presentation, his stirring speech and whatnot, without fail, the first hand that was going to go up was going to be Gloria EX. Am I lying, Brother Muhammad
You're
Abdullah?
not lying.
She would have not. Now, the backdrop about Gloria EX was that she was married to a brother who had gone out of the temple with Minister Malcolm, but still she was active working in the nation, right? And she would never have a fear of asking a question. And I would look at Gloria EX, and whenever her tell was, when the minister said something, if she would go to the side, you knew she was going to come up with a question. And so I was thinking about her recently. Allah, she has returned to Allah, I think in the last 3 or 4 years or so.
Yeah.
But she was such a courageous person in that respect of really exercising her freedom of speech
Yes. Yes.
and coming forth and asking a question. She would say, Brother Minister, did you say? But if you sat behind her, whenever you saw her do like this, you knew she had a question that was coming up. And so I think that if more of us, but she was always respectful. If more
That's
of
right.
us
That's right.
could
Yeah.
be like that, we would see the changes that you're talking about in our communities throughout the world, throughout the nation.
And I just wanted to add to it that, and she was respectful, but she was never afraid to ask a question. Sometimes other people may have thought it. It was
Right, right.
they would bear witness, but they wouldn't be the one. I got to this expression. Many people want first to be second. They don't want to ask the question, but they will second you.
Mm.
First to be second.
Yeah, yeah.
But how come you just say, if she didn't say it, you wasn't going to say nothing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But I think that even as we navigate the time we're in now, and and the beautiful thing is that you have these platforms. I was talking to Brother Michael. You have these platforms with not only on MAP5, but you also have the YouTube. And as best you can, you're getting the word out, because a lot of what we're doing, we may not see the full effect in our lifetime, but we're planting the seeds, and we hope that, inshallah, in the right season, things will blossom.
Inshallah.
That's what we go off of. We go off of a hope that that we can see that happen. But listen, I know y'all got to get off this line, and inshallah, I thank you for having me on. I'm sorry I had everything set up. I don't know what happened. I kind of got sidetracked. But anyway, may Allah bless y'all.
Alhamdulillah, it
And
works
I'll see
out.
you again. What, in June? I think it's June.
Yes, it'll be in June. The exact date I don't have in front of me.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
in the
because
teens sometime.
Is that the
Um,
15th? Okay, well, send it to me so I can put it on my calendar because
Will do.
once the summer starts, I really be moving around a lot.
Yes,
I need to have it so I know.
definitely.
You say June to what?
I have to, let me see.
June.
I think it was this second or third Monday.
Okay, well, could you send it to me because I don't have it listed.
Yeah.
June, I will be. Well, I just got. Let me know. I'll log on wherever I'm at.
Assalamu alaikum.
What's up?
You said the second Monday
No,
in
I'm not
June.
sure, sister. I'm trying to.
It's the
I'm looking
15th.
at
I
it.
think it's the 29th.
No, it's
Okay, because I have the 15th if it's the second in June.
No, because I'm next week and then it's really, so it's either the 8th or the 29th, sister.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
Sister Amatullah,
let us know. Let us know. I don't have it
Sister
down.
Amatullah will let you know. It's either the 8th or the 29th.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I
much.
thought it was the third.
No,
I'll let you know. I'll let you
it's
know.
either the 8th or the
We
29th.
rotate. We rotate between the hosts and we rotate the imam in.
Yeah, next month she's on the 8th and the 29th.
Okay, 8th and the 29th. Okay. All
Yes.
right, Charlotte. Well, let me know in advance so I'll be available, Charlotte. All right.
Yes.
So,
ma'am, you want
So
to close this out? Or did you have something to why don't you do your closing? Well, then you.
me?
yeah, you do yours. And I do the prayer last.
And he'll do the prayer last.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask a quick favor. Can you text me, sir, these imams who putting people to sleep? Because I have insomnia, so sometimes I can't sleep. So I'd like to stop by their kutbas just so I can,
Get some
help
rest.
me out. Because I don't like medicine. So just so they can help me out. I just want to put that out there. Just,
Okay.
Listen, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this serious but lighthearted episode of MAP5. I know you learned some things today. I did, as I was giggling, had to keep putting myself on mute. Thank you, Imam, for the wisdom and the sharing and the teachings. Like my grandmother used to say, I learned me some things today.
Same here. I learned a lot.
I learned me something. And we ask all of you, take what you learned, if you did today, and teach someone else. Help someone else learn something. You don't hold on to it for yourself. Don't be selfish. Share. Sharing is caring. Teach someone else. And do something today for someone else without needing to get credit for it. You don't need any shining stars or any credit. In this one instance, it's okay to share it online. Just give some credit to the Quran for it. You don't have to, make a big deal out of it. We ask for you to stay powerful, stay prayerful, stay philanthropic, stay politically engaged. And in the words of my grandmother, mi abuela, change how you look at things, and what you look at, what you see will certainly change. It's all about perspective, darlings. We will see you next week, same time, same station, 10 o'clock on that coast that gets up way too early for the rest of us. 12 o'clock in the middle, right in the middle of the country. And 10 o'clock on the best, that would be the West Coast. Next week, we got something for you as we come here bringing you Memorial Day in the commercial, not in the commercial sense, but in the real sense. This is Military Appreciation Month, and as well as AAPI month, but it's also Black Women's Health Month, Maternal Health Month. So we're going to be looking at a bunch of different factors. And since this is Black Women's Maternal Health Month, I'm going to talk to you about all of the things you should be thankful to your mother for. That's the scientist in me. So Mother's Day is every day, but We want to talk specifically about that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Madam Amatullah and Imam as we close you out. Hope to see you next week, and she will tell you what's coming up next.
Next will be optimal health. Will be about 2 hours from, well, probably an hour and a half now from our broadcast. So you can tune back in. And once this live stream is on the AM360 Daily platform, you can either in live or in videos find this broadcast, share it with your family members and members of the community. This is how we can build up our platform. And we do this with all of the AM360 broadcasts. Once you get the link, just forward it on as good news for the believers. And Imam Muhammad Abdullah Aleem, thank you so much for your presentation today, for your words of encouragement and wisdom and logic and directional thinking, directional language. It's greatly appreciated, inspiring, and we hope that those who were part of the group today that benefited, and that those who will see it in the future will also benefit, inshallah, and we can help to groom and aid this legacy that we're trying to build up, inshallah, God willing.
Yes.
So,
Oh, don't forget to like our videos too. So don't just pass it on. You got to like it.
And subscribe. Yeah, subscribe
And
like.
subscribe. Yes.
Inshallah. So,
Yes.
Imam, you want to close us out?
Yes, before I want to just mention that next week we're going to look at the right to petition. I want to talk about, inshallah, next time we talk, the importance of asking Allah for help and thinking of Allah's help before you think of anybody else's help.
Yes.
Right, that's very important for us because we have a lot of associate gods called they that holds us back in our thinking, and we want to only worship Allah even in our thinking. I just want to say that, inshallah. So that's where we'll be at, to the right to petition and complaining only to Allah. All right.
Inshallah.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to say Surah Asa, that the Muslims during the time of the Prophet, when they left each other, they always say Asa because that's the sign of the judgment. A'udhu billahi min shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi kusri illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Ameen.
Ameen. And this, as we are engaged in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah,
Oh yes,
and we want to remember those who will be leaving, if they, some have probably already left, depending upon where
it should
they're
be there
coming
by
and
now.
going.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it started now.
Those who will be making the Hajj, and we look forward to our Eid al-Adha coming up. Let me see. We'll have your show, Cheryl, before the Eid. So we look forward to that, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And with that, everyone, that's a wrap.